Well, it's hard to find humor in dying, but when you think you're going to die, you need humor. And this story is about a time that I was very close to death. I was in Houston, Texas, where I go quite often because I work for the space program. And I had worked all day so I could take the last flight home. So I got to the airport, turned my car in, got myself just a little bite to eat, got on the plane so I could make it back to Virginia by about midnight. As soon as I got on the plane, though, I started getting these sick feelings. I was shaking, I was sweating, but I had this sensation that I was exploding. I was being pumped up. Have you ever seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Violet Beauregard? You know, the one that gets like this? That's what I felt like, but I was scared. I mean, I was scared and on an airplane, but I was headed back home, and I told myself, if I could just make it back home, maybe everything would be all right. Well, I flew into Newport News, Virginia. I live in Williamsburg. I was waiting for the Oompa Loompas there to get ready to juice me. I mean, I needed some kind of humor because literally I felt like I was going to die. I mean, it was not good. So I got in my car at this time and I drove toward home. All the time I was sweating. I was still feeling like something was pumping me up like a bicycle pump. Well, I got home, and the first thing that I wanted to do was sneak inside and see if I could figure out what was wrong with me. So, sure enough, it was around midnight, a little after midnight. I didn't want to wake my family up. I snuck up to my office. My office is right by my wife and I's bedroom. I got in there. I pulled my pants down, and I got on the internet, and I started looking. I was looking at my legs, and sure enough, they were about 3 times the size. And so I was looking up swollen legs and all these things. Now, it's after midnight. My pants are down around my ankles. My wife opens the door, and she says, "You know, what are you doing?" I didn't say, "What does it look like I'm doing?" I said, "I think I'm dying." That's what and I did. I looked at my legs. She looked at my legs, and she said, "You might very well be dying." I mean, you got to understand, I got some nice legs, but you look down there, and they were literally 3 times the size, and you get worried. I had 3 children in the house. So anyway, we got on the phone and we called her daddy, who's a physician, a wonderful physician. He's back home in Alabama. Of course, woke him up, got him out of the bed, told him what was going on with me, that my legs was blowing up and I had these sensations that I was being. He said, "It sounds like it could be something like liver failure, kidney failure." And you say to yourself, "Oh God, I'm just, by this time I'm down on the floor and all sprawled out." So he said, "You got to get him to the emergency room." Well, she couldn't take me to the emergency room because somebody had to be there to explain to my children how I had blown up like Violet Beauregard. So I called the local police department. We got a little community police department. Say, "Could y'all take me down to the hospital? I don't want to make a big fuss of this because I didn't want my children to see me going out in an ambulance." They said, "No, we got to send an ambulance." I said, "I don't want an ambulance." So the only thing I could think of is I've got a buddy, lives a couple of streets over. He's a retired colonel. He'd been in all kinds of combat situations, flown helicopters. He's seen all kinds of bad stuff. I called him on the phone and I said, "Could you come over and take me to the emergency room?" Remember, he was asleep. He answered the phone in 2 rings. He was over there in less than 5 minutes. The first thing he told me is, "You look like crap, but he didn't say crap. He used these Army words, and y'all know what I mean, but I'm just not going to use those because my wife and children are over there, so I'm not going to tell you those. But so I got into his car. All the way to the hospital, he's saying, you look like crap. Well, when he's not cussing and stuff like that, my buddy, the retired colonel, he's Catholic, so I sincerely thought I was dying, so I started on the way to the hospital confessing to him everything I've ever done. So, I mean, you know, I wanted my children to know that they loved me. I wanted my wife, that I loved them. I wanted my wife to know. And I told him a lot of stuff that I'd done. Of course, I'm not going to repeat that here. But, again, we got to the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, I mean, they looked at me and they said, this is bad. You know, it was bad. I was sweating. It was just, oh, gosh. So... And at this time of night in the Williamsburg hospital, they took me on back in about 3 or 4 minutes, and I had this little Indian doctor, and I looked at him, I said, this is good, because, I mean, I don't know, he was happy to see me, and he was very interested. They hooked me up to all these machines, and it looked like Chernobyl or something had blown up, and all these machines started lighting up, and, you know, my blood pressure, my heart, everything. It was absolutely just, I was scared to death. They had these little sticky things on. My buddy was still sitting over there saying, you look like crap. And I felt like crap, and I was sweating, and this guy, you know, this is really bad. He told me all these things I was having. My heartbeat was irregular. The swelling, you know, was edema. My father-in-law had already told me that. And then the hypertension, my blood pressure was going through the roof. And you talk about the X-Men, my goodness, I thought I was morphing into something. I was scared. So anyway, we got to talking, the doctor and I was still confessing things, and it was... You know, you don't want to go out like this. I've had some really scary things, but you don't want to go out like Violet Beauregard, all this blown off. Well, he said, well, you know, what did you have to eat today? And I said, I worked straight through. I wanted to go home. And he said, you know, did you have anything? And I said, well, yeah. I told him what I had. I had a lot of it. And he came back. He first of all, he went and looked in his books. And I butcher these words, but I'm going to give it a shot. I had overdosed on glycyrrhiza glabra. I had overdosed on licorice, okay? I had been eating licorice all day long. I had eaten about, oh gosh, if you've ever seen licorice, I'm not talking about them little whippy things or anything. I'm talking about pure licorice pellets that taste like something like pencil lead and coffee and vinegar, and they're the best. But if you read on there, there's a warning label that if you eat too much of this stuff, you're going to get hypertension and you're going to get edema and your heartbeat's going to get irregular. But my buddy had told me about it, and King Tut was buried in licorice. I mean, it had to be good for you. To my knowledge, I'm the only person that has ever overdosed on licorice in at least Williamsburg, Virginia, but goodness gracious. It can be done.